So the topic of this presentation is about bioformulations as a very good alternative to, sustainable agriculture. So that's my name and my position in the country, Nigeria. So next slide, Daniel, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, I'm using my phone. Okay, but I can be. It's okay. Next slide, so Daniel. Yeah. So truly speaking, I have to pay tribute. I thank the last speaker, Dr. Charles. He's one of the most prolific young scientists we have in Nigeria. When I saw his slides during the rehearsal 3 days ago, I have seen that he has captured everything that we need to talk from Nigerian front. I thank him for that detailed slides and detailed presentation. So what I tried to do, I told him this morning when I finished my slides, I just prepared simple slides. And my targets are not really the experts seated in the forum or those that connect with us from different parts of the world. My target is those that do not know about organic agriculture. My target is about those that do not know how you can make biotechnology to replace some of the chemical substances we use in agriculture and other things. So that should be understood. So this microbial consortia can be used either singly or in different combinations to bring about more robust agricultural sustainability. Next slide, Daniel. You should be rushing the slides because I just want to spend about just 10 minutes so that I can get out of where I am. I'm not comfortable here. Next slide, Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Next
Yeah.
slide.
Next one.
Okay. So there are different microbial formulations, Once you are able to identify a candidate microbe, be it a bacteria or a fungi or cyanobacteria that can serve as a candidate biopesticides, for example, or biofertilizer system. It is possible to make them in different combinations so that they can be used instead of synthetic chemical fertilizers that causes a lot of pollution problem in the environment and other things. We all started basic science very long time ago. We know that the composition of air, for example, is about 78% nitrogen. But one will ask, is that where nitrogen is supposed to be? I mean, nitrogen should be available on the soil so that it can fertilize the system. But God knows that He has also created wonderful microorganisms, which we call beneficial microorganisms, that have the capacity, metabolic capacity, to fix the atmospheric oxygen, so that it can be. So a lot of them can be harnessed, and these microbial formulations, they can be used as biofertilizer systems, biopesticides, and biocontrol agents. Once you can use these three substances and others, you are trying to bring about sustainable agriculture. Next slide, please. Next slide, Daniel. Yeah, farmers of all countries, uh, implemented the Green Revolution technology. But we know the Green Revolution technology advocated the use of synthetic fertilizer, a lot of things. Dr. Charles talked about a lot of organic substances they have developed, the feed and fertilizer, biofertilizers and organic fertilizer, because there is a world of difference between biofertilizer system and organic fertilizer, and so on. So, and I think this is where the future should go in view of environmental deterioration. So they cause deleterious effects, like I said, and present a lot of problems both to the environment and to human health. Charles already mentioned this, so we can go ahead, Dr. Daniel. For that reason, modern agriculture and horticulture, which satisfy the nutritional needs, because it is one thing to produce, to make a harvest and to make a very good yield. But yield can also be in terms of nutrient content of the crops themselves or animals or whatever, you know. So I think that is why, the organic farming is better than using chemical substances. I listened to the first speaker from South Africa. He also mentioned this fact that Africa is really behind. Our governments, like Charles told you, always buy synthetic fertilizer. It was a lot of billions of dollars to distribute to farmers, and there is irresponsible use of fertilizers in creating bombs and other things. So some of the security challenges we face is also as a result of indiscriminate allowance to use synthetic fertilizer. So I think the human population, and we can minimize the negative impact on the environment if we use organic farming practices. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. So the use of beneficial rhizospheric microorganisms for improving not only growth and yield, but nutrient quality, the foremost. As we know, that the rhizopia microorganisms, they live in close associations with the roots, nodules of some plants, and some of them have the capacity to fix atmospheric nitrogen, like I said, and make it available. And nitrogen is a key element in the synthesis, biosynthesis of proteins, and proteins are key nutritional molecules, and that is why we have to go by that option. Next slide, Dr. Charles. So plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, also called PGPR, a group of free living bacteria that promote plant growth by, like I said, colonizing the roots, fixing the nitrogen, and making it available. In this slide, there are some genera of bacteria that are very good candidates biofertilizer systems, like members of the rhizobacteria, Brevibacillus and Pseudomonas species and other things. So these are candidates, like I said, once you are able to identify a candidate bacteria, they can be propagated by fermentation, what we call aerobic fermentation. Through that fermentation, you can get a tremendous amount of the biomass which you can process and package. Next slide. So PGPR produce plant growth promoting compounds, like I said, such as hormones, siderophores, and antibacterial peptides, with the auxin production being one of the most. Auxin is one of the most popular hormone that promote plant growth. So all this can be produced by a number of bacteria that are resident in the soil environment. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. PGPR have also shown good effectiveness in terms of biofertilization, biocontrol, and even bioremediation. I was discussing with Charles this morning that I have 3 PhD students working under me that are trying to reclaim agricultural lands that were hitherto polluted by hydrocarbons and heavy metals. So once that is achieved, farmers can then be able to, grow vegetables and other forms of fruits. The first speaker mentioned it, Africa, and even Charles mentioned it. Africa is the hub of vegetables and fruits. So you can grow different type of fruits and vegetables in different parts of Nigeria without any problem. The problem is pollution of the farmlands, fecal pollution, heavy metal pollution, and hydrocarbon pollution. But the most important pollution is the fertilizers also that the farmers use that are synthetic in nature that can compound the problem of pollution. Next slide, Dr. Daniel, please. So therefore, PGPR may also play an important role in the context of a sustainable agricultural industry because they allow increased crop production with significant reductions. And next slide, please. Apart from enhancing plant growth and yield, PGPR may also improve the nutritional quality of foods. I have mentioned this. Next slide, please. So several studies by the authors mentioned have been found to increase the sweetness also, the taste of the fruits, moisture content, levels of secondary metabolite, with an antioxidant properties. When I joined this session after a break due to network problem, I met Charles presenting his slides. I don't know if he mentioned that Nigeria is becoming one of the leading producers of watermelon, for example. And this watermelon, as you buy them from the markets or from the vendors, you realize that they differ in color, They differ in taste. Some are extremely sweet, as if you have added sugar. So I think these are watermelons that are grown using raw fecal materials from animals and possibly human beings. And it is good that as scientists we should promote that kind of technology, but then we should try to process the fecal material so that we can enrich the residual matter that will have more, fertilizer value than the original material. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. So the enhanced contents of minerals also have been reported, chlorophyll in cabbages, and because the first thing that you will attract you to a vegetable to see it very very colorful. It has to look very very green. The greener a vegetable is, the more the chlorophyll content, and we all know that chlorophyll is a very important nutritional substance. So members of the Brassicaceae do not associate with mycorrhizal fungi, and so on and so forth. And next slide, Dr. Daniel. So PGPR can be applied by root dipping, during planting of seedlings, or by seed dipping, or root inoculation, and so on, or by drench. So any simple technique, everybody can do. Even the remotest villager can do this kind of farming practice. Thank you. Next slide. The use of beneficial fungi in agriculture, and the trichoderma species in particular, especially those species attracted by root-derived sugar and exudate from the plants. I told you that these organisms, they are in symbiotic relationship with crops. They get the exudate from the plants, and then they fix the nitrogen and so on, or they protect the root of the plant from further deterioration by phytopathogens. Next slides. So some strains are able to increase the tolerance of crops also to biotic and abiotic stresses and improve plant growth and yields. We all know that different farm locations are characterized by different environmental factors that affect the crops over there. So one of the advantage of using organic, fertilizers is they tend to, make the crops to be tolerant to some of the stresses and so on and so forth. They have a very good soil binding property also, that they bind the soil and retain the nutrients so that the crops can continue to benefit from the nutrients instead of being washed away by either rain or other, weather, reasons. Thank you. Next slide. So these fungi, they release auxins, small peptides, and volatile compounds, that promote root branching and nutrient uptake. These are very key to the growth and yield of whatever vegetable you are growing. The root should be able to freely branch and ramify through the soil, or the nutrient uptake from the soil, that is the fertilizer substances, must be in high order so that they can grow faster and then grow luxuriantly also, so that it can serve as a food to humans or feed to animals. Thank you. Next slide. Piripomospora indica is a biotrophic, mutualistic root endosymbiont belonging to the order Sebaceae, capable of mimicking avuscular mycorrhizal fungi. From the previous slides, we told you avuscular mycorrhizal fungi is a very good candidate as a biocontrol agent and promote growth of plants and other things. There is a wonderful professor I met in Amity University in Noida, India, Professor Verma, Dr. Charles Brent, and Godfather. He is also my friend and Godfather, whose name is synonymous with P. indica. The gentleman has, done a lot of research work on this particular fungi, on the role of the fungi, in promoting organic agriculture. I have seen it live, and I have seen tomatoes that have stayed for more than 3-4 weeks on shelf without spoilage because he have treated them with P. indica and other things. So I think this group should recognize Professor Verma and make contact with him and bring him to the fold. He is a fantastic expert as far as organic agriculture is concerned. Thank you. Next slide. P. indica can be cultivated axenically It can also colonize roots of wide range of higher plants and induces disease resistance and stress tolerance. I have mentioned this. Next slide. So the most widely studied beneficial fungi are arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, AMF, which establish mutualistic associations and so on. Next slide. So while the extra-radical hyphae that extend from the roots into the soil increase the uptake of water and minerals, the establishment of the intra-radical fungal structures involves a continuous cellular and molecular dialogue between AMF and plants. Thank you. Next slide. Studies have demonstrated that the inoculation of mixtures containing different species of AMF, and PGPR, enhances food crop quality in a higher degree than the individual application of these microorganisms. Dr. Daniel, I have never been to Germany, but I learned that vegetables that were produced using organic fertilizer, they are far more expensive than those that are produced using other means of fertilization. I think the answer can come from you after my presentation.
Yes.
Studies have also demonstrated that, studies have demonstrated that the inoculation of mixtures containing different species of these fungi and PGPR enhances food crop quality in higher degree than individual. So most of the times, as a microbiologist, I know that when it comes to novel application of microorganisms, sometimes microorganisms perform better when in combination than when they are pure cultures. So that is why I said it is good for us to first identify the candidate for biofertilizer system or biopesticides or whatever, and then out of the strains or species, we now make different combinations and test. Definitely, we'll come up with a potent, and that is what we are doing with some of my PhD students right now. Next slide. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. Hello, Dr. Nadia.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So next slide. Next slide.
Okay.
Please take me through fast so that I can finish. Okay. Global biocontrol agents market is a very promising market, because there is a growing demand for food production, and this agent can replace chemical agents. It has been mentioned. Next slide. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. So, like I said, I have a slide showing exactly showing different. No, come back to the regions. I have a slide showing different regions of the world. Can you come back to that slide before this one, please?
Okay.
Yes. That slide shows different regions of the world where organic agriculture has advanced, and you can see North America comprising of United States, Canada, and Mexico. In Europe, you have people who have gone far. But the point I'm trying to make is that in Nigeria, like my brother Dr. Charles have mentioned, we are totally behind, and I think it is good to also not allow our environments to be devastated by synthetic compounds or synthetic fertilizer or pesticides. I think we should key into organic agriculture right now. We have been talking with government, at the president of the Nigerian Society for Microbiology and the immediate president of Biotechnology Society for Microbiology. I know at different avenues, we are engaging government to really accept the new practices of farming instead of the traditional old way that has problem. In fact, in Africa, we have a lot of problem, challenges. Some of our universities are not equipped. Dr. Daniel, I don't know if you read newspapers that Nigerian universities are closed down for more than 8 months. A lot of things. My heart bleeds. Dr. Charles' heart bleeds because we are just there. The universities are closed. Nothing is happening except some of us. They have their private enterprises, private laboratories. And in fact, one of these negligence is what made me to come up with a company, an indigenous company, one of the first of its kind, with collaboration with another company in India, in Hyderabad, who is into biopesticides and biofertilizer production and so on. So I think next slide will show you the portfolio of the company. We are looking for very strong collaborations. I have visited a number of laboratories in India. Charles has, and Charles was with you in UK, I think, and we hope to be there so that we visit your lab and uh, look for more collaborations. This company is African based, is a biotechnology based. I'm intending to use microorganisms to make fortunes for villagers, for farmers who cannot even access the synthetic fertilizer. That is the beauty of the thing. Even the synthetic fertilizer now is not that available to them, but we want to stop the practice and introduce organic farming so that Nigerian government can. Next slide, please, Dr. Daniel, so that I can round up. Next slide. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. Yeah, but it should be noted also that apart from the beneficial microbes, I dwell so much on microorganisms because I'm a microbiologist. But there are nematodes also that can be used, and as biocontrol agents. This is one of the lab I visited in India, and we are having very strong collaborations and so on. Using this facility, you can identify a particular microbe with a particular physiological character, and then you are sure that the biopesticides you are going to take to the field is really well identified. Otherwise, if you throw a bacteria or fungi that have the potential to be pathogenic, it can cause a lot of problem to farmers, human beings, and the society and other things. So that's why we have to collaborate with laboratories that are well equipped. Next slide, Dr. Daniel. Next slide. So I think, yeah, next slide, go on, go on.
It's last slide.
Yeah, so last slide. Okay, I want to sincerely thank you. I have a thank you slide. I know. So I want to sincerely thank you for listening to me. And I want to thank the organizers for, yeah, that is the slide I'm talking about. And I want to thank the organizers for giving me time to at least interact and participate in this webinar. Thank you very much.